Well, the time has come to harvest these potato towers. I planted these several months ago in winter. For those people that haven't seen the video, basically the concept is to grow potatoes at multiple layers. I laid down straw, compost and potatoes on each layer and came again and again. There's around about 5 layers there entirely. I'll put a link in the corner, yes, this corner, to the video where I actually constructed it. I also have another video about what was happening during the growing process if anyone wants to have a look at that. So today it's the moment of truth to open it up and see how the crop went. I could of course actually have harvested these probably around about up to 2 weeks ago at least, as you can tell by the degree to which these have died. Of course, once they start to die back in here, they do die off pretty quickly because it's pretty hot in here now as we have just moved into summer. It's going to be good to get these early potatoes out of here because it is still around about 3 weeks away before I really want to harvest potatoes from outdoors, and so these will be a little bit of a fill gap for us. So to harvest these, I've never done this before. I think pull these stakes out, hoping they come out reasonably well. Yep. And I'm going to see if I can just pull this apart. Get the oh look, there's potatoes falling out the bottom already. Well, that's interesting. The straw on the outside has come away with that. Move some of it off, and here I've got a mound of compost with potatoes in. I'm going to bring you in a little bit closer so you can actually see better. So from here you can see in this compost there's potatoes. Now they're not exceptionally large, and this one's a little rubbery. It's not really going to be an edible potato, that one, but there are other nice ones in here. So let's see what we can find. Now this top section over here seems to have most of the potatoes in, and that's something I noticed was the top seemed to grow a lot better than down below. The ones that came out the side didn't do so well. So this is pretty solid down here. Fairly dry now because I haven't watered it for a little while. Yeah, there's more in there. So in here, oh, there it is. That's a layer. You can see there where the straw was in between, and it's broken down quite well. But there are some little potatoes underneath. Not very big though, pretty small. There's another layer coming off, and yes, that one is totally rotten. This one's okay. These would have been the ones that are planted that are rotten. So there's not much production come from them down here. There's nice little worms under it, and it's going to be good for the soil. Not finding anything more of significance down here. Oh, there's one. Little tiny things. more big ones here. So these came out of the top of the potato tower, and that's where they grew the best. They went rolling over there. I'm going to have a look in here and see if there's any potatoes around the edges, but I don't think so. No, I think that's all straw and no potatoes showing in there. Okay, we've quickly demolished one of those potato towers, and this is what we got. It's not a lot of potatoes considering the number I put in there to grow. They are nice potatoes, but some of them are fairly small. Growing, I have to say, across winter, you don't get the same production as you would growing this time of the year where there's better heat. But ultimately, I am quite disappointed. I've had much better production out of this bed just growing in the soil itself. But we've got one more to go, and we'll see what we can find in that. Again, the straw casing has come off, and there is one potato in there around the edge, but what we've got inside here is a mound with potatoes falling out. You might notice here how many potatoes have just fallen down. And this one's better. There's some nice bigger potatoes down around the base. And the place where the potatoes seemed to set was between the compost and the straw layer around the outside, looking at this. And that's a lovely potato. So rather than growing deeper in there, they've set around where it was easy to form them on that edge. Nice one there. Now, this one has some down the bottom, which the other one didn't have. Getting some around the back here. So I can just mine the edges of this mountain. Interesting how solid the compost has become despite the straw layers that I actually put into it. So start pushing it off. Oh yes, that's better. This is a much better crop out of this mound than the first one. Black one, not good. So this is the production from the two mounds. The second one in here was so much better than the first, and probably 2/3 of them came from it. And there's a lot better quality and size potatoes that have come from it. Would I do this again? Yes, I probably will, because I'd like to play with it and see how it goes, see if I can do better than I have done here. I think a couple of things may have reduced the crop that I got here. One thing is the fact that I've got a wall behind, and so the light was not so equal. It was all coming from the one side, particularly growing in late winter and early spring. The other thing, of course, would have been the fungal attack that I had early would have reduced the energy that went into the potato and would have knocked it back a little bit. In terms of construction of these, I probably wouldn't go as many layers again. I did 5. I think 3 or 4 would be adequate, and maybe packing more straw in between them. I noticed that the lower layers generally didn't do as well as the higher ones. I think they didn't get their shoots out as well. So a thicker layer of straw in between each layer would give them more opportunity for those shoots to actually come out and get the growth going. But an interesting exercise, and I think it would actually go much better, of course, if you were doing it at the time of the year when potatoes grow better. So like if you were growing them outdoors now in a tower like this, the result would be heaps better than I have achieved here growing at a time of the year which is not ideal. So have a play yourself, see what you can do. Another way of growing potatoes, particularly good for small spaces. So what am I going to do with this bed now? Well, I'm going to clean it up, get any weeds out of it, spread the compost around, and then probably put this straw over the top of it and let it mulch down nicely, give it plenty of water so that it's ready for the next planting that I want to put in. What that's going to be, I'm not certain yet. This bed may actually sit now towards autumn and be planted in autumn, because I have most of the planting that I actually need in the greenhouse. And this time of the year, you only want to grow things that really like lots of heat. I will add some blood and bone to this before watering it in. That will help the breakdown of the straw and really make this compost down really nice and be ready for the next crop.